Public Works and Planning Committee to order. Call the roll.
Commissioner Dodd?
Here.
Commissioner Cush?
Here.
Commissioner Nipper?
Here.
Commissioner Piercy?
Here.
Commissioner Sharino?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Here.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yeah. First on the agenda is the Highway Department.
Let's do the minutes.
Do the minutes, excuse me. Approve the minutes last meeting.
Any volunteers? Yes, so move. Second.
Made in second, approve the minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
And the Highway Department
Don't believe we have anything tonight, sir.
report. Okay. No report. Building code.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Chairman
Good evening.
Jernigan, Commissioners. All right. I'm going to go through these numbers as best I can remember David did, so if I forget anything, just pipe up and let me know. We had a total of 247 permits issued for the month of October, 56 of which were single-family dwellings, for a total fee intake of $81,190 for permits. Development tax, that's, our permit count is actually up from last month and on track for more this year, this total year than we worked with than we did last year. We're only 158 permits away from last year's total issued for the entire year, so we will probably exceed that. Development tax, we took in a total for Rutherford County, also the cities of Eagleville, Laverne, Murfreesboro, and Smyrna, for a total of $548,250. Of that, $291,750 was the city of Murfreesboro, which included 93 senior housing units on Fortress Boulevard. A cumulative total for this fiscal year for development tax, we're at $2,059,500. And zoning enforcement, we had a total of 145 inspections for the month of October, which is down a little bit from the month of September, but that would be tall weeds and grass and swimming pools, etc., kind of tend to fall at this time of year, so that'll start to reduce a little bit. And that's it. Any questions?
All right, Tanya, since this is your very first solo report, let's go back to,
Break me in good, aren't you?
yes ma'am, October building,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And you reported, let me see, on page 2, you reported your 247 total building permits issued, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, for the audience sake who can't see these reports,
Mm-hmm.
why don't you share with them what the 2015 permits for the same month were?
There were 207.
So we're up 40
We're up
more
40 from
permits
the
from
same
this
month.
time last year.
Right.
And for those folks that really care, the big item would be single-family homes.
Mm-hmm.
And single-family homes for 2016 in October were 56,
Right.
correct? And so what were they for 2015?
They were 32.
All right, so up, what is that, 24?
Mm-hmm.
So that gives a good indication of where we were this time last year with single-family homes. So,
Exactly.
all right.
This year, we're cumulative this year, single-family dwellings, right now we're at 593. For the entire year last year, we were at 620. So
Right.
that's only a difference of 27.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
we're
we're
on
on
track
pace
to
to
exceed
break
that.
that.
Yeah.
Right. So just so the folks at home can kind of keep track of where we are and that we're ahead of schedule on
Mm-hmm.
building. I don't think it's any secret as they drive around town, but
No.
they don't have access to these numbers. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Motion to approve the report. Second.
Thank you.
Moved
Right.
and seconded. All in favor?
Okay, you did good.
Thanks, Tony. Good job.
You did very good. You did very good.
Planning.
That's a hard act to follow.
Yes, it is. You're absolutely right.
Commissioners, hope you're all doing well this evening.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm glad you're healing well.
Yes, thank you. Me too.
The first thing that I will bring to your attention today is the subdivision inventory that's on your iPads. You'll see there, I guess on the page, well, it says page 404, that, I'm supposed to do that, sorry, that the total available lots is pretty much consistent with what we saw last year, 644. Last year was 641 at this time. We had several sections of larger subdivisions we recorded last month, so the fact that that number has gone up a little bit doesn't surprise me any. In fact, as the months go on, we know there's several more in the pipeline there that we're going to see more and more plats, so that number is going to fluctuate more, and we've talked about that. So the fact that that's gone up, again, really doesn't really surprise me. You'll see at the last page of that PDF, last two pages are those sections that are not recorded yet, those subdivisions that are out there that are in the pipeline somewhere but have not been recorded. You'll see we're pushing about 3,000 lots that are out there in some state of approval process right now. Most of these would have gone through at least the preliminary plan stage. We may have seen a couple of sections for final plats at this point, but I know our engineer Mike Hughes has been working on a lot of construction drawings for the startup of several of the subdivisions that we've seen over the last year or two. So there's a lot going on right now on the ground. So that's eventually going to translate into more lots and the inventory just continuing to kind of fluctuate over time. So that's kind of where we are with that right now.
2955 in the pipe. Previous, what's the highest number you've seen? I mean,
That
they were
pretty much
there.
right now. Yes, sir.
I don't recall seeing a number that high.
Now, honestly, I don't track this number, and I think I need to start. I don't track the undeveloped or the unrecorded lots. I don't have like a graph for that like I do the
Yeah.
recorded lots, but it wouldn't be hard to start that. It would just be a matter of looking at past reports and doing a chart, so I can do that pretty easily. I think I'm gonna start tracking that as well, just to get an idea of where we were, like last year at this time, kind of like I do for the recorded plats.
And
So
most of
that-
these will come online. Some may never
At
come
some
online.
point.
I understand some of these,
Right.
Most
Most of these, though, the way that our database is set up, if there's one that's expired, it drops off. Where it says plat extension. Well, there's another category too, but if I put expired on the category, it doesn't even show up on the report. So so that plat extension is something a little different. But most of these, like you said, at some point you probably will see them.
Yeah.
But there probably will be some that do drop off.
So all these approvals are 15, 16.
Mhm.
Or did I
Yes,
see back
most
in
of them.
07?
Right, yeah, there's
That's-
some-
I see that was phase one.
Yeah, the ones that are permanent that you see, essentially what has happened is their final plats being based on a preliminary that was approved, like you said, back in 2006, Stewart Creek Farms being an example. That was originally approved back in 06 as the master plan, but we're still seeing sections being recorded off of that preliminary approval. So that's why you see, that's what that means.
It's a lot of classrooms.
It's a lot of cars, a lot of classrooms, a lot of everything. Does anybody else have any questions on that? If not, we will go ahead and jump into the planning report for rezonings. We will have 4 rezoning applications for your consideration next week. The way they're listed on your iPads there, you had one that was considered back in July, and then you've got 3 more that were considered at last month's Planning Commission meeting. I'm just going to go in order in how they will be presented to the commission. So the first one will be Mr. Patel on Veterans Parkway. This is a piece of property located on Veterans Parkway. It's adjacent to the city limits of Murfreesboro. It's right across the street from the Kroger facility, the new Kroger grocery store they just built. They are asking for a commercial services zoning. They don't have a specific use at this point. It's really more of a speculative rezoning. But when you look at the area, right across the street is in the city again, zoned commercial highway. Lots to the south are also within the city limits of Murfreesboro, and they're zoned commercial fringe, which is kind of similar to our commercial services zoning, which is what they're asking for. There's differences between them, but it's kind of their middle of the road zoning classification in their commercial districts, whereas commercial services is ours. So from staff standpoint, I thought this was consistent with what we're starting to see in that area. This really is an area in transition, Veterans Parkway. We see commercial development on both sides, really, of Veterans Parkway toward 840 and also on this side at Highway 96. The Planning Commission and County Commission have already also approved a couple other commercial services zoning along this stretch of road. So the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this. It was unanimous with the exception of one abstention, but other than that, there wasn't really a whole lot of discussion with this particular application. The next is for a property along John Bragg Highway, Mark Jones for Steel Barrel Brewing. This is a large tract of land, about 82 acres or so. This is kind of a unique project. They're looking for a planned development approval. Essentially what they want to create on this property is something like Arrington Vineyard out in Williamson County. Their initial project will be to create a 15,000 square foot brewing facility and parking area. They'll have space for brewing of craft beers, a tap room for beer sampling and sales, sensory room, and also laboratories. These labs will also be utilized by Middle Tennessee State University starting in fall of 2017 as they get their fermentation program up and running. We actually had some the folks from MTSU's program at our Planning Commission meeting, kind of went through a little bit of what they are going to be proposing for that program. It sounded pretty interesting. Most of the acreage that you see there is going to remain agricultural or open space. 45% or so of the southern portion of the property is going to just be utilized for livestock, pasture for cattle. There's also going to be the central portion, which will be, again, for the brewing facility and amenities. There's also going to be fields for growing of the dwarf hops, what they will use as part of the brewing process as well. There's also, when you look at the pattern book, and that's on your iPads as well, there's a number of other amenities as far as a par 3 challenge golf hole, disc golf, an outdoor venue for the potential for future wedding events and things like that. Maybe outdoor, say concerts for lack of a better word. There was some discussion at the Planning Commission about that, just to make sure that the applicants understood that there are specific rules that govern what we would call a retreat for like a wedding venue or something like that, or any outdoor events. The applicant understood that, and this is just, I don't think it's going to be anything near what we're used to seeing as far as a standalone venue for those type of events, but they understand that there is regulations for those type of events as well. There were some property owners that did speak. They had some questions about the hours of operation, questions about noise, odors, things like that. It was explained that the brewing and fermentation, all that is indoors, really shouldn't have any effect on them. After discussion, ultimately the Planning Commission did recommend approval of this by a unanimous vote. Is there any questions on that? That's a little bit of a unique project. We don't see things like that too terribly often. So.
The church to the west is far enough away.
Yes, yes, and actually they've reached out to the church, and from what they've told us at least, the church seems fine with it. But yes, as far as distance and everything, they would have to meet all those and say they do. The third application, this is a application that was actually originally considered by the Planning Commission back in July of this year. This is Shane Fogel on Mount Pleasant Road. I spoke about this back before your August meeting, before it was withdrawn from the August meeting by the applicant. This property, some of you may be familiar with it, it was used for rock extraction during the widening of State Route 99 back in 2008. Since that time, the property has remained vacant except for structures being built during the widening project. The applicant came to meet with staff back in June of last year. He operates a landscape business along Highway 99 currently, and was looking at the property for possible purchase and to move his landscaping business to the property. After speaking with the applicant, we did advise they would require rezoning. We did recommend commercial services at that time as the best zone that could accommodate the business that he was operating. Several months went by and staff received a complaint regarding activity occurring on that property. After investigating the complaint, it turns out that the applicant had purchased the property and had begun operating from the property without any zoning approval or site plan approval or any building permits for any new structures that were being built. There was a stop work order being placed by the County Building Codes Department for the building construction. Planning and engineering then got involved at that point as far as how to progress forward with this application. Most of the concerns relate to staff at that time. Concerned there was a lot of noise being created. He was using this dirt rock separator, which was creating a lot of noise in the area. From what I understand, some of the people in the area thought that they had started quarrying again, which was not the case. After discussing it with the applicant and understanding that there were some concerns about the use in the area and what other potential uses could be had on that property, if the landscape business moved, we recommended he go with a PUD approach. And that pattern book is, again, on your iPads as well. Essentially, they're looking at 15 employees, operating hours from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. They would have activities would be limited to, or not be limited to, but would include loading of materials, topsoil, trees, mulch, skid steers on trucks to deliver, for delivery to various job sites. There was not a retail component as part of this, and they would also have concrete bins as part of the storage of the material as well. One of the things that we asked them to do, there are 2 access points to this property. One's the primary access point that they used as they were excavating the rock from that for the Highway 99 project, but there's a secondary entrance that's probably a little less, it'd be more to the south, it's probably less intrusive than the main entrance. We've asked them to utilize that primarily in their development, and they said that they would do that. They show that in their pattern book. Buffering, of course, everything else would have to meet our requirements as well as far as zoning is concerned. There were a number of people who spoke at this public hearing. Most of the concerns raised were in regards to traffic from the development, the conditions of Mount Pleasant Road in that area, noise issues. There's a very small amount of septic soils there for the property, and then property values. Staff did recommend approval really from the stance that outside of how this all came down to the Planning Commission, how this all came about, staff doesn't really see another viable use for this property. It's really not going to be a single-family subdivision. There's just simply not enough soil there. Being that there's a huge borrow pit there from when the state was using it, we just felt that this was an appropriate use for that. But after a lot of discussion, the Planning Commission did ultimately recommend denial of the application by a vote of 7-4 and 3 against. So that'll be coming before you next week as well. The last application.
What do you recall about the discussion for denial? What are your recollections?
Well, I think a lot of it had to do, of course, just wondering, is this the most appropriate use for that? A lot of the neighbors had quite a few concerns, as I stated, about the noise on the property. He wanted to use this dirt rock separator. It was only supposed to be for a temporary amount of time. I think some of the people in the area thought that some of this activity could continue for longer. But as I recollect, that was a lot of what it was. And Mike, of course, you can correct me or add in something if you think there's...
The neighbors rallied. This was one of those deals where the applicant decided to beg for forgiveness rather than ask for permission, and it blew up in his face. And the township was prepared. And the main noise complaint that stuck with me was that they basically took the top of the mountain off, and he sits up high. And as the neighbors say, I have no proof of this, but as they tell the story, the noise just kind of travels downhill to their homes. So that, and just it was kind of a grudge against the fact that he circumvented the rules. So, but I'm kind of with Doug. There's real no use for this piece of property as far as developing goes. But
will he be able to retail and wholesale?
Well, the only thing he'll be able to do is, there's no retail element in what he's proposing. So, a lot of what he does is he takes orders and then they go deliver to the site.
So he's not going to be open to the public?
No, nothing in his application indicated that at all. And in fact, I think we even asked him specifically, there's a retail element. He said no.
It's a very nice picture if he's not.
Mm-hmm.
If he were to go retail, he would be defying his PUD.
Yes.
What would be the recourse?
Well,
if a complaint were lodged?
If a complaint were lodged, of course, we didn't estimate. If it turned out to be, accurate, then he'd have a couple options. He could cease and desist the retail element at least. He could just go back to what his original approval was. he would need, I mean, in my mind, he would need to do that regardless of what direction he took. If he decided he wanted to change his application to have a retail element, then he would have to come back through this process again, assuming he was approved to begin
Yeah,
with. If
right,
it's
right.
denied, then he
Yeah,
just
I
has
jumped to that
Right,
conclusion.
right, exactly. But those would really be, and if he just said, well, I'm not going to do it, but then kept on doing it, at some point, we would have the ability to cite him to court for that, because he'd be in violation at that point, after repeated attempts to try to get him into compliance.
And the noise, would the noise abate after some period of time? If,
No.
will that activity cease, or is he can always be separating stone and rock?
Well,
And then
from
I'll-
what he said, it was
There
going to
was-
be, yeah, there was like a leftover pile.
There was a
that
huge
was there,
leftover
yeah.
pile of residual from the
Somewhere on the
quarry,
site.
and he
Okay.
was taking advantage of that to separate. So at some point in time.
It looks like he would exhaust it eventually.
Yeah, at some point in time, that would.
It was like 6 months, I think, is what they were proposing originally.
Right.
Now, I've sort of heard, I haven't heard from the applicant specifically, but I've kind of heard through the grapevine that he doesn't have that machine anymore, or is not using it anymore. But we'll try to verify
But there would
that
be a
for you.
fair amount, as I recall, tractor trailer delivery of ingoing, outgoing of plants, trees, delivery, and then.
Traditional landscaping.
Right,
things.
right.
Right.
And as I recall, this is fairly close to Champions Run
Yes,
Golf
it's
Course.
just
so
right
there's,
up
right
the
across
road
the
from
street.
it.
yeah, so there's a fair amount of that kind of traffic anyway, and noise from mowing and,
It's right there.
yeah, so,
Right across.
yeah, there's some due diligence to do between here and commission meeting.
Thank you. Thanks for letting me kind
Sure.
of dissect that.
The last application is Ms. Bev DeLong. She has property on Franklin Road, 8461. This property has actually been considered by the Planning Commission on 2 or 3 different occasions. It's never actually made it to the full commission, so this will be the first time that it'll be really before you. This property was the subject of a zoning request back in August of last year. The applicant was requesting commercial services zoning for the eventual use as a self-storage facility. Following the public hearing, the Planning Commission recommended denial by a unanimous vote. I did include those minutes in here for your review. The applicant withdrew their application following that meeting. Applicant then submitted a new application for an identical use, but was doing so as a PUD. Again, the pattern book is on your iPads, as opposed to conventional zoning. The concept plan shows only a portion of the property. Originally, they were looking to do the entire 9 acres, 9.5 acres or so. This new proposal that they're showing is only 5 acres now. Essentially, there's a small private drive there called Baltimore Road. The portion that they're looking at is between Baltimore Road and Deer Run Road. That's the portion that they're looking to zone. The portion across Baltimore Road is still part of her property, but is not part of the zoning request at this point. And if they wanted to ever put it back in, they'd have to go through this process. They also show their concept plan shows they want to develop 100 units, initially, with ultimate build out of about 300 units. Additional buildings would be added when the existing ones approached 80% capacity. They anticipate complete build out being in 3 to 5 years. Hours would be from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. with possible seasonal adjustments, and would employ between 1 to 3 people, and they would use the existing house on the property as an office. Again, this was brought before the Planning Commission back in July of this year. There were a number of concerns brought up by the neighbors, primarily included traffic concerns, safety of the road, and the appropriateness of non-residential zoning, especially on the south side of Franklin Road. I also included those minutes in your packets as well for your review. The Planning Commission ultimately recommended denial, again, 10-0 on that vote. Following the public hearing, the applicant collected a good amount of information regarding the concerns that were brought up at that meeting. The reason being is they thought going into the meeting that they had addressed the neighbors' concerns, and from their understanding, they thought everything was okay. But then, as they tell it, they felt like they got blindsided in a sense by a lot of the people who spoke against it, and wanted another chance to come up with information to try to refute some of the things that were brought up. After speaking to the applicant about it, I said, without moving forward to the full commission, their best bet would be just to withdraw this existing application and resubmit a new application, and then kind of go through the process anew, which is what they ended up doing. applications that are denied before the Board of Commissioners have to wait 6 months before they're reconsidered, but that does not apply to the Planning Commission because the Planning Commission is only a recommending body. So that's kind of how this is coming to you now. So in effect, it has started over. So as far as what she's asking, really nothing has changed, except it is a planned development, still about 5 acres. As far as the number of units, everything, nothing really has changed. The applicant did give a fairly lengthy rebuttal of some of the things that she felt weren't accurately portrayed at the meeting. After quite a bit of discussion, again, several people spoke. A lot of the same concerns were brought up at that last Planning Commission meeting last month. Ultimately, the Planning Commission did vote to recommend approval, but by a vote of 4 in favor of it and 2 against. So it's coming to you kind of at a split vote, again, 4-2. But I've been in contact both with the applicant and those who are opposed to this application. I know both of them are readying their presentation, so I foresee this being a fairly lengthy meeting, just to give you the warning at this point. But I've also included the minutes from last month's meeting. They're the unofficial minutes. Those haven't been officially approved by the Planning Commission yet, but that'll happen at our next Planning Commission meeting next week. But so those are in there for your review as well. So those are the 4 items that we have coming before you next week, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Anybody got any questions?
I'll move that we approve this report.
Second.
Motion made and second approved. All in favor?
Aye.
Mhm. Thank you very much.
See ya.
Solid waste, landfill.
Good evening, how are y'all?
Good.
Everybody went and voted. We may not be done in time to go vote if you haven't. Landfill's still staying rather busy. We've slowed down a little bit. It's a little peak and valley. A few months ago, we were running almost 100 trucks in there a day. Now we're anywhere from 60 to 80 on an average type day. So it's slowed down just a little bit. But we've got a lot of dirt moved. We've got a lot of things going on. As you know, last month I reported to you that we sent our letter back to the state that we plan to appeal their fine, and we have not heard back from them yet. So there's still no true movement on that. So we're getting a lot of stuff done. It's costing us a lot of money to get things done, but we're getting it done. Any questions on the landfill?
I got any questions, John?
On the recycling and convenience center side, we're still busy, but a lot of people are saying the economy has turned and it's back. And garbage can tell the economy quicker than anything. In the past 4 months, we're a little over 2,000 tons less than we were last year. So that tells us the economy is not as good as it was in the past 4 months of the previous year. Part of that may be the election cycle and people kind of be a little nervous or whatever. So recycling is still up. The value of the loads are way down. Most of the metal loads right now are bringing $40 a ton. Several years ago, we were dumping loads of metal at $400 a ton. Now they're bringing about $60 or $400 a load. Now they're bringing about $60 a load. So recycling is not profitable, but it's still the right thing to do.
How much did you say steel recycling is?
$40 a ton.
About 2 cents a pound now.
Of course, we don't separate ours. Ours all goes in, so the metal companies that we deliver to separate that out, and they'll get the steel and the aluminum and copper and all that stuff separated. That's how they make their money off of it. But we don't have a processing facility like that, and of course, it costs money to process too. So. As of today, we are fully staffed in the recycle center as far as employees. It's been a true struggle. Friday of 2 weeks ago, hired 5 people. On Monday, lost 2. You know, so that's been, but at least we're ahead of the game. We've been running behind. So hopefully these will turn out to do well and get them trained up right and stay with us for a while. But the reason for them leaving is not money. We've struggled for several years to get the money up to where we thought it should be, and we've got it to where we think it should be, and it's not the salary. It's just dealing with the public, and some of them don't like the smell and the heat and the climate and all those things. But that's all I have on the reports, unless y'all have questions.
Anybody got any questions? Motion to approve the report then.
Motion to approve.
We have two budget amendments to bring to you tonight.
They gotta vote first.
Motion made and second to approve the report. All in favor?
Aye.
Now go ahead, Matt.
Okay. First one I have on my sheet, I'm not sure which order y'all have, is for leachate at the landfill. We've been pumping and hauling a lot of leachate, and it cost us 12 cents a gallon to dispose of it. That's haul and disposal combined. We've already done one budget amendment for that, and we're just about to have all that spent, plus the amount of money that we started. So we're requesting another $50,000 budget amendment to come out of fund balance to go toward leachate. That, if we keep tracking the way we've tracked so far, that will not get us through the end of the year. But we're hoping that we have gotten a large volume down and it won't be as much. We'll still have to pump and haul, but it won't be as much.
This is during a drought.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, how does the drought,
This is as good as it gets.
yeah, it has to make that better.
Two things to answer that question, or attempt to answer the question, is if the landfill cover is not real good, you get a lot of penetration. We've spent a lot of money and hauled a lot of dirt. We've got the cover in really, really good shape, so that should help this situation. And the lack of rain also will help. So if we can finish with the cover and get it packed in well, which we're almost finished with it. Right now, usually this time of year would be a good time to grow grass, but with no rain, it's hard to do. So trying to get grass growing by winter time is going to be a struggle. But having the dirt on there and packed in well should help that situation.
So you're requesting $50,000, but you don't think that will get through the end of the year?
If we continue as we have been going, no, sir, it will not.
So which is, you're talking about the calendar year, not
The budget year.
budget year? Okay. Not 7 weeks, but the budget year?
Right.
Okay. All right. Okay. And this comes under just the fund balance?
Solid waste fund balance, yes, sir.
All right. We really don't have a choice, do we?
No, we don't.
No.
We don't want to get any more out of compliance.
Yeah, we
with our
can't let them run in the
kidnap
street.
friends.
Well, the fact that there are no options, I'd make a motion to approve that budget item. We gonna take them one at a time?
Whatever y'all want to do.
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay.
Motion and second. Call roll on that.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Cush?
Aye.
Commissioner Nipper?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
The next budget amendment is for our contract labor. They're the equipment and manpower that actually pushes and packs the trash and hauls the dirt and places it and packs that in and all that kind of stuff. We started this budget with $300,000 in the line item. We've already paid out $177,830. We have PO encumbrances for $121,250. That totals $299,080. So we're not going to have enough to get through this calendar year. So that's what that budget amendment for is, hopefully to get us most of the way through next year. It may have to come back, or next calendar year, but it may not be through the entire budget year. And as if you'll remember, when we set our budget for this year, we intentionally left some of those things out, so we would come back and ask y'all for the big expenditures, so y'all be aware of what's going on.
So I'm confused. So what is your request for?
$286,000. Also coming out of solid waste fund.
On top of the 300 that was already, will be
Yes, sir.
consumed.
Now, there's two things that's happened during this budget. We've changed contractors and the price has gone up, and we're getting a lot of more stuff completed. So it's costing us more to operate per hour than it has in the past, and then we're running a lot more equipment, a lot more hours.
With more results.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's all coming out of solid waste budget.
Do you remember approximately what we spent last year on that line item total?
I didn't go back and look. We did amend that last year. We had roughly 300,000 in it, and I don't remember how much we added to it though. And that was for the total budget year.
And tell me again what this group does besides compact every day.
They're the actual operating force there at the landfill.
Okay.
We have the scale operator. Of course, we have a mechanic out there that he's stationed out there, but he works on the compactors and a lot of other stuff as well. So they're actually our workforce.
All right.
So they
Which
push and
company?
pack all day.
Which company is that?
Melton Construction.
And he bid, and who had it previously?
Also,
And a new company's in, and the costs are going up dramatically. And maybe the production as well. I understand there's, you concerned in any way?
I was a little disappointed when we had the bid. We had three bidders, also Melton and Floyd out of Columbia. If we had taken on Floyd, it would have cost us $3,000 a week right off the bat, more money. The big boys didn't bid on it, but the reason I was hoping for the big boys to bid is for us to be able to see what it would actually cost in the real world. We've had a really, really cheap rate for a long, long time, and the one we have currently is still a cheap rate. But the big ones didn't bid on it, so we didn't get to see what their rate would have been.
But you had a $300,000 budget we approved.
Line item, yes, sir.
And did you anticipate it going up, and you would come back and pull from fund balance? Did
Well,
you-
when we set the budget, we didn't know we was gonna change contractors. So that happened actually
The
before.
bid was later.
Yeah, the budget was already way through the process.
I don't really think the rate has so much to do with it. What they have been able to do is dig a lot of dirt, move a lot of dirt, and put that, what is now already finished and completed, what they've been able to do to really dress that up and fix it where TDEC wants us to have it has been really, really a major accomplishment.
And that makes sense to me.
And we just weren't able to do that before. We weren't covering properly, we weren't finishing it properly, and et cetera.
And Melton has the capacity and the equipment, you're pushing him to do more.
He's on an hourly rate.
Correct.
That's correct.
Yeah.
The
I remember
more
that
hours
bid
you
was-
run, the more it's gonna cost.
Yes, sir.
But we had to do this to get in proper compliance.
Sound like Melton done a good job.
He is.
And that's what I want to make sure that we change contractors, and we've gone from 300 to 600. And
Well, it could have been a
we're
bit more
doing
than 300 even last year. He had to amend so many things even last year.
Yeah, we bumped it last year, we just don't
Yeah.
remember all of them.
If you're satisfied, I am, and I understand.
And then we still have the berm, or the dam that I called it, for the leachate system to be built. And that's gonna be a lot of dirt hauling and packing in addition to what we've already done.
Where do we get the dirt? Is that ours?
Yes, sir. We're getting it off right there on site.
Just like you working at Nissan, you work more hours, they give you more money.
Yes. I'm just glad I'm no longer there.
That would really be a good time for y'all to drive out there and you can drive out there without getting your truck and car all messed up, and it'll get dusty, but you'll be impressed.
The mayor rode through several weeks ago, I guess, wasn't it? And he called me while he was out there, and we discussed some things, and then my scale operator called me after that and said, "The mayor's here." I said, "Charge him when he leaves." He said, "He didn't bring anything in." I said, "He's hauling your dirt out."
Weigh him on the way.
Yeah.
Any other questions? We need a motion
I make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Motion and second. Any questions? Call roll.
Commissioner Dodd?
Yes.
Commissioner Kush?
Yes.
Commissioner Nipper?
Yes.
Commissioner Piercy?
Yes.
Commissioner Serrano?
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes. That it, Mac?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Would you please tell the TDEC boys that we just approved $350,000 to help improve that, and they'd please go easy on the fines?
Pat Flood is the director, and he made the comment when we had our meeting that he'd much rather see those fines being put toward
Yeah.
repairs than
Yeah.
going to teach
Tell
them.
them
So maybe they'll,
We're being good stewards, and
I'm hoping their slow movement is
Yeah.
waiting to see how far we get with it before
Yeah.
they decide what to do.
yeah.
This Jackson Law's not being looked at, but this other item.
Well, while he's still sitting up here, we've been working on this and doing our homework. And at 4:35 today, we found out that in November of 2005, the commission has already approved this. They've adopted this law that's available.
Uh-oh.
Here you go, Becky.
So I wasn't aware of that, and neither was Matt. But after we found out that Smyrna had adopted it in January, I guess they continued to look in their file, and they found our resolution in there with theirs.
Smyrna didn't realize they had adopted it.
Until we
But-
told them,
but
then they...
TDEC had sent me a copy of theirs to where if we wanted to do something, this was a template to use. So when I was emailing back and forth with them, no, they didn't, because I was asking them pros and cons. We don't have it. So I forwarded them the document to where they had. And then one long after that, they forwarded me the one that we'd been looking for. So
And the resolution that we adopted is exactly this form, a resolution that is on the iPad, okay? So we do have a copy of it, November of 2005. So,
and when we started going through this, and I'd always heard the Jackson Law, and the quick down and dirty, what I would tell you is that county government has, or the municipality or the government has the way to stop any landfill. And that's kind of the down and dirty of it. But TDEC informed me that there's a lot of pros and cons. And sometimes just be careful what you ask for, because you're gonna get it, and it's makes it a whole lot harder to deal with a lot of other things other than just garbage. Processing facilities and different things like that. So we need to do a lot of study on it.
but it is in place. The county, on a landfill request, gets first bite at the apple before TDEC can permit or do anything else otherwise.
I guess the question
You,
is,
the county commissioners.
do you want me to forward that email to the TDEC so they, I don't know how TDEC is supposed to know we have it. I guess we should have
I
sent
don't
it
know.
years ago.
We will now tell them that we've already approved this, which some of our older members, Mr. Jernigan might remember that, I don't know. That was before all of us that are sitting here were in our offices.
13 years before I took this office.
Okay, so if there's anything else develops in this area, we'll bring it to you later. But right now, just be advised that it's already been approved.
So I think you summarized this, to make sure I understand, that the county or this body or municipal council can deny a private firm to build a landfill, but we, the county or the city, have first dibs or first claim to build our own landfill. Is that what you're saying?
The way the field office explained it to me is if we were private individuals and
Yeah.
we were wanting to build a landfill type facility and we took our plan to TDEC, and that's in Rutherford County, they have the Jackson Law. We'll hold your plan, you go through their process and get it approved first before we do anything else.
Right.
So you actually have that opportunity to stop it before it truly gets started.
But if we say, no, we're not gonna build one, does that automatically give them permission?
No.
To build
No,
one?
nothing.
Okay.
It just says, we're,
Our
the county,
denial.
we can do this. Of course, we're not gonna do it unless the county commission approves it
Right.
anyway. You guys are gonna have to fund it and the whole process, so. But it doesn't apply to a county or a city or a town.
Okay.
When I was talking with TDEC, of course, they knew that Smyrna had it. We didn't know we had it, and they didn't know we had it either. But their thing was, anything that were to happen within the town limits of Smyrna would have to go through their city council. Also, anything within 1 mile of their limit would have to go through. To extend 1 mile past their limits.
Okay.
So I would assume if Rutherford County did it, it would extend 1 mile past the county as well.
All right. So this doesn't force, if a private entity wants to build one, this doesn't force us to build one
No.
first. Okay. Okay, gotcha.
But there's several that have been in the county, and there's several still in existence. More of them's closed than are open. But they sent me a list of our convenience centers would have to go through the process.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
Anybody got any other business? We'll adjourn then.
Thanks, Chairman.